Hey, everybody. I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks Live. Hey, Jeff, how's it going, man? I was watching Joe Rogan earlier, and he was interviewing a guy, and they had an interesting exchange, and it touched on something that I talk about a little bit once in a while. But the guy was saying some stuff, and hey, Vintage, how's it going? Good evening, buddy. The guy was saying some stuff, and Joe Rogan said something to the effect of, "So your theory is right," and the guy cut him off and said, "No, no, no, it's not a theory. There's evidence. We have evidence." And LJ, good morning, buddy. And that just that sparked something in my mind because I think that's where a lot of people in society today have they get their wires crossed, right? And Joe Rogan just let it slide, either that or he didn't notice it. But the guy actually thought that what he was saying was concrete and factual because he had evidence. Okay, now, without evidence, there is no theory. I mean, it's fiction. It's just making shit up, right? Every theory has evidence. I mean, we have evidence, all just metric tons of evidence that space aliens have visited Earth from another galaxy. So it or another solar system, but it's not a fact because we have no proof. We just have a whole bunch of evidence. So, and I think that a lot of people fall into that trap where they think just because there's evidence that it's a fact, right? I mean, every conspiracy theory, every wacko thing that Bigfoot, all kinds of stuff, we have evidence for, but no proof, zero proof. All right. All we know is what we heard somebody else say. I've watched all kinds of documentaries and first what is that called when it's firsthand accounts of alien abduction and shit. And but it's just not a fact. No matter how many firsthand accounts we watch, it's not fact because that's not proof. That's just evidence. Who else we got here? Gen X Gemini, Stephanie Anderson, Lake. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I was just talking about the difference between facts and evidence, proof and evidence, and how we as society, as a people, how we view this kind of stuff, right? Because a lot of people tend to think that because we have evidence of something, that it's true, and it's just not. I mean, point blank, it's just not. And there's just surviving another night shift, huh, Stephanie? That's a tough one. Yeah, that's a tough shift to pull there. Oh, all right, Gen X Gemini. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you could make it. Glad all of y'all can make it. Yeah, I know that these well, except for Laic, because I think it's like 10 o'clock AM Laic's time, and then Vintage over down there, down under, it's like 6 o'clock in the evening in Australia. So yeah, those two they don't have as hard a time making these Saturday morning shows, but for all of us here in the States, it's a little tougher. Yeah, Stephanie, exactly. And they pulled that stuff a lot. They used that a lot during 2020 with all that stuff. They had tons of evidence and absolutely no proof. And and then they went back and forth with the recommendations. And that's the thing. They get people trapped in all this, right? Because I see this a lot about science. Science is never wrong because it just learns more. Okay. And that's the line they feed us. So they can just change, do a complete 180 on what they were telling us to do, tell us to do something completely different because science learned more, you know. Oh, we're that stuff we had you take was actually bad for you and killed a bunch of you, but now we learned more, so we want you to take this other thing now, that kind of stuff. So uh, I don't know, that kind of stuff is just insane to me. Tripwire, there he is, big Trip. Glad to see you here, man. Yeah, that's true too, LJ. Evidence can just be made up. Proof cannot. Proof can you can't you can falsify evidence and screw results and shit, but you can't falsify proof. Proof is proof. Proof is facts. Proof is concrete. You can't screw around with proof, but you can manipulate evidence, falsify it, make it up, all kinds of shit. Because just you can have circumstantial evidence, just I heard him say that she did such a thing. That's evidence, but it's circumstantial. You can't do that with proof. Proof is proof. Oh, okay. All right. So I was right, huh, Vintage? My memory finally kicked in for me. All right. That's cool, man. Yeah. Yeah. Pirate Bob. There he is. Yeah. Gen X Insomniacs. Yeah. I like this Saturday morning show, though. It's pretty neat. All the early risers or the overseas people get to chime in, and not so many people show up to this one, of course, at 4 o'clock in the morning. Most sane people are still sleeping right now. So it's just us lunatics who can't sleep or have to go to work early on a Saturday. Yeah, the Sumerian clay tablets, LJ. That's just all kinds of stuff. But that guy there, hey, Pirate Bob, thank you, man. That's awesome, dude. I appreciate that. Oh, okay, Gen X Gemini, you work the vampire shift too? The only time I've really done that was when I was in the army, and it was oh man, I hated it. Uh, it was hard to get used to. Yeah. But I'm a very habitual person. I'll go to bed at the exact same time every night. I'll eat the same thing every day for lunch and dinner for my meals. I'll eat the same thing every day for years. The exact same thing. It drives my wife crazy. Don't you want to eat something else? It's like, okay, whatever, it doesn't bother me. I'll eat this or something else. But yeah, I'm habitual. I'll do the same thing every day. So when I get in a habit like that, and then trying to stay up all night is just torture for me. It takes a long time for me to get to get shifted over. I'm just a really early riser. Stealth mode. Yeah. Florida night crew shift. Yeah. But yeah, the all that stuff, all that evidence, right? I mean, and we're just, I don't know, tricked, brainwashed into believing things, okay, without proof. We just have evidence. And then then we're divided with that, okay? Because you want to argue with it, people arguing over stuff, and neither one of them have any proof about their side. All right. I can I never have. I've just been lucky, and I've run into really cool flat earthers. We just have conversations about it. I've never run into a. I've heard that some of them are assholes, but I've never found one. But I can argue with a flat earther about the Earth being spherical, but I don't have any proof. All I have is some evidence that I saw when I was in an airplane and I flew to Korea. You know, and stuff like that. I can even start citing, that the sun never goes down in Alaska up north during the summer. The sun doesn't and never gets fully dark. And that's because the earth is a sphere. Now, even that's secondhand information. I've never spent a summer in Alaska. So, you know what I mean? So I'm just repeating something someone else told me. But me and a flat earther could argue about that stuff all day, and neither one of us have a lick of proof. They can't prove, they have no proof that the earth is flat, and I have no proof that it's a sphere, but we could argue about it. And I think uh, that is, if not implemented by institutions and stuff and social media, it's instigated and promoted, that kind of infighting, that arguing, that division, you know. Stealth mode. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, that's cool. Pirate Bob and Stealth mode became members of Gen X. Thanks. That's really cool, guys. Thank you. Oh yeah, the PT folder. Yeah. Yeah, I used to love these things. I would draw all over them. Have let's see, where's my finger at here? I'd have arrows coming out of this guy's head and stuff and blood running down and all that. Yeah. We used to these were art books or something. They weren't really folders for us. We used to draw all over them. Yeah. Yeah, I always had one of these in high school, and it always had weird shit drawn all over it because I'd be bored as hell. Joe P, good morning, Joe. Nice to see you there, man. Yeah, you did too, Pirate Bob. All right. Uh, that's another thing. Back in high school, oh, you're a trapper keeper kid, Stephanie. Those were cool too. Yeah, tripwire. Yeah, yeah, tripwire. Inside Man. Yeah, that's a pretty good movie too. And where they manipulate what's seen and what's believed and what is fact and stuff. Yeah. And with that, oh yeah, Joe P. I'm an early riser. You can almost call I've always been that way. Well, let me get back to uh Inside Man. Yeah, that's a great movie. I've seen it several times, Tripwire. Um, yeah, they manipulate how we view things and all that, and it just it points to the fact of how easily our minds are manipulated. They manipulate what we see, and our memories are fallible. And I believe that the institutions, government, and big business, big corporations, they use psychology a lot. All right. They know that our memories are fallible. They know what the things that spark that resonate inside us. They know that the sweet and salty mechanism in our bodies triggers an urgency inside us, and we eat something sweet, then we want something salty. That's why with the popcorn and the soda and that at the movies, and they have taken that and done more with it, gone further with it. Um, and all this other, you can go deeper into the psychology of it with makeup and sports cars and all this shit, and basically turned us into consumers, meat robots. You know what I mean? Um, most of us anyway. Not all of us, but I can't claim to be some kind of moral. Uh, I claim to be talking from some kind of moral high ground or something. I'm as much as a consumer as anybody else. I try to be awake and I try to vote wisely with my dollar when I can, But a lot of times they've made it damn near impossible. We have to buy what we can afford. So yeah, that's Gaslight. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Stephanie. That's another one. Yeah, Gemini. Yeah, I just I really, I mean, I deeply like calm and quiet. Not constantly all the time, but I really that's when I really do my best, when I'm most alert and when, when everything's quiet, there's no lawnmowers running outside or traffic outside or anything, you know what I mean? And at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, the world is silent. And that's just when I love it the most. That's when I'm the happiest, when I'm, the most alert and I get the most creative or whatever. Uh, that's just when I'm at my most comfortable with the world is when the world is silent. And that's why I just love the early morning. I can't, I just love it. So I wake up early so I can experience that every day. That might sound weird to most people, but I hate waking up to a lawnmower running outside or in traffic honking and all that shit. I just don't like it. So yeah. Yeah, Stealth Mode. It's a good movie, man. That Inside Man. That's a good movie. You should check it out. Oh yeah, Lake Stranger Things. I don't think we've talked about that show on this channel yet, but yeah. Yeah, nice throwback movie, nice nostalgia movie. Yeah. MK Ultra, Gen X Gemini. Yeah. That all that garbage in, garbage out, Pirate Bob. Yep. Yeah. All of the manipulation you see, and all you have to do is look at advertisements and TV shows and that stuff and product placement in movies and the bumbling fools in our government. And you look at our government and these people are morons, okay? And I'm saying that from not from a super, 250 IQ rating or anything, just average IQ guy, but those people are stupid. And you wonder how on earth, they're running the country. And the only logical conclusion I can come to is they're not. All they just take orders and say what they're said to say. That's it. It's the bureaucrats who actually run the country, the unelected bureaucrats, and they are controlled by big business and big banks and stuff like that. They do what they're told to do. And these politicians that we elect, they're just puppets. They're painted up face talking heads that just come out and entertain us with their magic tricks and shit and make us promises. Oh, we're gonna fix your city. And then, 4 years later, there's used syringes laying in the street and shit, and, then they blame that on the other side. "Oh, it was the Democrats that did it, or it was the Republicans that stopped us. We're really gonna fix it this time. We're gonna show them. All you gotta do is vote for me," and then they vote for them again. And it's all just a big circus clown show. It really is. Yeah, subliminal messaging, LJ, yeah, hell yeah. They'll I don't know how deep that goes, if it's just like, wah, 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 like, uh, electric or waves just gone straight into our brain. I don't know about that. I don't know, but it's definitely I know that subliminal messaging is like the undertone of a message, like I said before with the selling makeup to women. You can't sell makeup to a woman by telling her, "You're beautiful just how you are, you're perfect. You don't need this shit." But would you buy it anyway? You know what I mean? They have to send the message under, an undercurrent of a message that says, "You suck. You're not perfect. You're flawed. You want to look like her." You know what I mean? That kind of subliminal messaging is 100% real. So, yeah. It weirds you out when it's quiet, LJ? Yeah, I love it, dude. I love just complete silence. Well, maybe, leaves rustling or an owl hooting. That's my kind of silence. Yeah, Pirate Bob. Almost all the media we see and hear is some kind of subliminal messaging, in my opinion. I've got a lot of evidence for it, but no proof. Again. Gen X, Gemini, the kids heard the new band Metallica on Stranger Things. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Stephanie. Yeah. High IQ with wealthy wallets have no idea what surviving is like. Yeah, and they pretend or they're posers. They pretend to represent the people, and they don't. They don't care about us. I mean, it's just time for us to wake up to that fact. These people do not care about us. These companies, they constantly with their advertisements and shit, right? They constantly blast at us how much they care. And AC, thank you. Another new member, AC. That's awesome. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy being a member of Gen X. Thanks. Check out those new emojis or whatever that you get access to, all of y'all new members. But yeah, they're constantly blasting us, with this message that they care so much, right? These drug manufacturers telling us Ozempic is, it's gonna, and then at the end they just, it'll cause anal bleeding and rectal malfunctions and eye sores and all this other shit at the bottom. So, and but that's with everything, not just the pharmaceuticals. That's with everything. They don't care if they can put a new ingredient in a potato chip that makes it more addictive somehow. They're going to do it. By law, these corporations by law have to increase their profits. It's not a thing about greed. Well, it is most definitely, but it's not just about greed. It's about corporate law and corporate structure. By law, they must increase their profits. By law, they don't have to look out for us, for our best interests, keep us healthy and happy and shit like that. They're not worried that's down the ladder on their concerns. Their main concern is increasing profits. They're not even allowed to let their profits stagnate. They can't make 1.8 billion in profit this year and 1.8 billion in profit next year. That's illegal. They must increase their profits. So, yeah, that kind of thing, and until people start realizing that, how deep it actually goes, because we always do that. We like to, or it's easier to just say to blame it on greed. And it is, don't get me wrong, but it's a deeper, almost like a cancer in the system itself, in the corporate structure. And that's the worst part of it. Even if you do, you know, a CEO or something had a big heart and he wanted to, keep poisons out of our food, he wouldn't be able to because it's illegal. it's, it's illegal because he's got to increase profits. Yeah, it's crazy. And that stuff can be looked up. Look up the laws. Yeah. Yeah, like, yeah. Yep, same pattern, same, and that goes right back to what I say pretty often is it's cyclical, you know? I think, and is it cyclical because that's the nature of the universe, or is it cyclical because that's human nature to destroy, right? It's when we get up to a certain point in understanding and technology, we must destroy it. We must ruin it. We we precipitate our own collapse just because we're not programmed to be happy. We're programmed to fight and struggle. So once we get close to a nirvana technologically and socially and stuff, we just start imploding it from within. Is that what it is? I don't know. It's a tough one to try to figure out. Just some of the weird stuff I like to think about in my quiet morning hours. Yeah. Yeah, like exactly, Stephanie. The constant repeat proves the insanity. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what we see every day and what we've seen throughout history. Society rises up, a civilization, a culture rises up, and then it collapses. It gets decadent and and they start ignoring all moral values and all this stuff, and they just collapse. Yeah. And it's the same thing on in smaller cycles too. I believe there are wheels within wheels, and they're all spinning around the same thing. And you've got bigger collapses and smaller collapses, and just like depressions and recessions. It gets up, but those are manipulated. Those are 100% manipulated. I'm a I'm a big proponent of just getting rid of the stock market. We don't need it. It's just a tool of manipulation. I don't like it. I don't like the stock market. For those of you who haven't heard me say that before, yeah, it's just a tool of manipulation for corporations. Look who owns 98% of the stocks in the stock market, and you'll understand why I despise it. Yeah. Yeah, Pirate Bob, that nothing changes except they make more money. Well, and why? That's the thing. I mean, honestly, why are they making it? They have billions of dollars. Their their kids could squander it, and their grandkids could squander it, and their great grandkids could squander it, and they would still be rich. So why are they screwing over people to try to get more? I don't understand that. Once you get to a certain amount, hey, I can chill the rest of my life and do, fun stuff. If I'm in love with business and making money, well, I'll go start a new business, and just give this one to somebody else. But they never do that. They just always try to grow it, and they, monopolize everything and destroy everything that's good. And I don't know. I don't understand that psyche. It's almost like they're a different race, a different species or something, to do that. That's almost like reptilian, you know. Yeah. Yeah, Tripwire. Yeah, every gen has seen the repetition, yeah. Yeah, Stephanie, that's where I'm at too. I don't buy into political parties. They're two faces of the same coin. They're different wings of the same bird, whatever you want to say. They're bought and paid for. They've got to pander to their demographic or whatever, their constituents a little bit, but behind the scenes, they're like professional wrestlers. They fight out there in the ring in front of everybody, but then they get back in the back, and they're buddies slapping each other on the back and shit, comparing how much money they bilked from their constituents this quarter. It's all a big game. But yeah, I'm glad that what is happening now with our financial and all that. Hopefully, we'll have a good economy for a while. Hopefully, we can keep it going for more than 4 years this time. Yeah, yeah, Pirate Bob. Yeah, it's hard because we're manipulated into it. But Pirate Bob says, try not to draw a fanatical line in the sand. And that's it. That's it. Yeah. Because if you draw a line in the sand and one group of people get on one side and one group of people get on the other side, most of the time, barring just straight up more moral decisions, okay, most of the time, one side is wrong and one side is right. So half of the people are wrong, just flat wrong when you do that. So we need to keep, as a nation, as a civilization, we need to keep, talking amongst ourselves and come to agreements. But the thing that's happening is they're taking all of the democracy out of our countries across Western civilization. We don't get to talk about things and vote on things anymore. We're here in the US, we're just run by a lot of these faceless bureaucrats make these decisions for us. And we didn't even vote for them. They weren't even elected, but they're making all these decisions for us behind the scenes in the shadows, and we don't even know. I mean, it'll be decades later before we even know a major law has come out, and that's not an exaggeration. Where they don't even tell us that they're doing it. They don't even give us any forewarning. They're just, this shit comes out and you're like, what the hell? Yeah, but they're dismantling democracy, and they love to word it as they're defending democracy. And what they're actually doing is destroying it. They love to start a war in the name of democracy and all this stuff, but in the name of democracy, they want to get rid of the freedom of speech. They want to get rid of the Second Amendment. They want to get rid of, the Constitution in the name of democracy. And it's insane. It's completely insane. Yeah, exactly, Stephanie. Yeah, the closer we get to nirvana, and I'm not talking about like a metaphysical heavenly nirvana. I'm just talking about a social nirvana where everybody can have plenty, and our technology gives us advantages and all this stuff. The closer we get to that social nirvana, the worse things get, and we're seeing it in real time now. So I can picture that in previous societies. Now, their technology wasn't as high as ours in some ways. In some ways, it was more advanced. We still not sure how the Roman roads and their concrete and shit last so long. You know what I mean? So they had technology beyond ours. It was just a different kind. But yeah, but and when they get to that, and then they get decadent, and you can the Romans are the best example. The Romans themselves were completely decadent, and they were lazy, and they didn't want to do anything, and then they imploded when they could have very easily continued on. Yeah, tripwire. We keep allowing it. That's the thing. That's the thing. And it's that we, Trip says we, and that's we as a society, as a civilization. There are individuals inside that civilization who are, and there always have been Socrates and Aristotle and other thinkers like that, free thinkers who pointed it out. They were pointing at it and screaming at the top of their lungs, with this is bad. we're going in the wrong direction. But the society at large ignored them and just continued on. They didn't want to give up their convenience and their pleasures. So it led to a collapse. And it it really seems like that's what's happening now. Yeah. Sherry. Yeah, right. Why is Harvard allowed to have so many billions? Yeah, that's all that stuff is ridiculous. And case in point right there with this whole thing where they're giving billions to Harvard, right? But they do that without telling us. That's the point. They do it behind the scenes. That tells me it's wrong. If they can't tell the people about it, hey, we're giving Harvard, $10 billion this year of your hard-earned money, but we've got such a good reason that, this is why. And we're positive y'all are going to agree with us. So we're telling you now, you know what I mean? But that's not what happens. They do it without our knowledge. They do it in the shadows. So that tells me that it's wrong. It's deceitful. It's stealing. It's dishonest. Nothing done in the light of day is dishonest. With transparency. If you do something out in the light of day, it might be illegal. Robbery is illegal. But if you meet somebody in an alley and take their shit, it's not dishonest. He's being honest with you. You know what I'm saying? I want your shit. I'm going to take your shit, or there's going to be consequences. At least it's honest. That's where I'm at. But these slimy so-and-sos, they steal from us in the dark. They take it from us, and then give it to their buddies, and then their buddies give them a chunk back. And it's all that stuff, I believe, is what's that called when you give somebody money and they give you some back on the backside? That shit, that a politician will give Harvard 10 billion, and then he gets a few million in return. He gets a payday for that. And it's our money. They're not out there busting their ass in the Florida sun to pay that bill. I am. They're not working nights, working graveyard shift to pay that shit. Stephanie and Gen X are. It just that shit just makes me mad. It makes me mad just to be. I'd rather them just come out and tell me I'm taking your shit and we're giving it to Harvard. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Just robbery. I'd rather they just rob me than steal from me in the shadows. Yeah, Stephanie, about the Egyptians. Yeah, there's something there. And I have a theory about that with the cyclical thing that the very ancient Egyptians were a higher technology civilization instead of like aliens. But yeah, I think they were a very high technology civilization like ours today that collapsed, and then somebody moved back in there and just started living among the pyramids and stuff. But that's my theory on it. That's where I kind of lean that way. Oh, it's not a theory though. I have evidence. I read some shit. Yeah. Yeah, Pirate Bob, exactly. They lost $17 billion in California. Yeah, of your money, Pirate Bob. So that's my point. Where does that go? Somebody got to spend it. Who was it? Yeah, kickback, Pirate Bob. That's the word I was looking for. They get a kickback. Yeah, thank you, man. Picking up my brain slack there. Yeah. I don't know, Laic, about Musk getting access to the black budgets, but I would love for him to do so. I would love that. I would love to see it. Yeah, the Sumerian tablets. I've heard that before, LJ. And I also heard, I don't know how true it was, but they actually found a mama joke on a Sumerian tablet. That'd be awesome. I want to believe that one. I believe that one just because it's so awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on that conspiracy theory. The Sumerians liked mama jokes. Yeah, I'm I'm with that. That's right up my alley. Me and my buddies used to love mama jokes. Yes, stealth mode. Yeah, something amazing was just revealed about the pyramids. Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, that's true, Trip. And that's And we allowed, as a civilization, not us personally, even the generations today, but the earlier generations allowed them to start manipulating gold and shit and take our money off the gold standard and all that. And that was the downfall of the actual downfall was 1913 when they instituted that bank. But then when they took us off the gold standard and shit, uh hooked us, got their hooks into us through income tax and all that the temporary income tax that they artiste that they gave us, and all that stuff. That's it's been a shitty snowball rolling downhill, just getting bigger and bigger ever since then, ever since 1913 and the institution of that bank. And taking us off the gold standard was another one, and just allowing gold to fluctuate. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's just another way to rob us and control us. Yeah, Artiste. Pentagon lost 11 trillion. Yeah, of our dollars. And here's the thing, that the question that keeps coming up in my brain, right? And it's not directly to do with this, but it reminds me of it. So the United States is what, 37 trillion in debt, and now we throw these numbers around and they're just real. I mean, you can see the digits or whatever, but the number is really unimaginable. 37 trillion. That's hard to even imagine. You couldn't count to that number in, like, I don't know how many, 1,000 lifetimes, even probably take millions of lifetimes just to sit there and count to 37 trillion. But anyway, then China is in debt, 20 trillion or whatever. England is in debt, however many. Australia is in debt to however many. So we're all in debt. Who are we in debt to? Who do we owe this money to? All right. That's the question. That's the question that should be answered. Who do we owe this money to? Okay. Because in my mind, there's only one answer. It's the central bank. And your debtor controls you. That's it. If they'll cut off the supply. And that's the entire point of putting that bank into the Federal Reserve Bank into our government, and then start lending them money instead of our government just printing money like it always did and always should. Now we get lent this money, okay? And then if we don't pay it back, then they just collapse everything. All right? And of course, then they have on the politicians and the federal bureaucrats in there who are pushing the buttons and got their hand on the steering wheel. There's blackmail and bribery and all over other kinds of stuff going on in there to maintain control. And that's how they manipulate the stock market with that. If you can just print up, not even print anymore, just manifest $3 trillion in a computer at that top central bank, and then you can just buy up a bunch of stock with it. Why wouldn't you? If you were evil. I mean, the main reason you wouldn't is just because you're a human being and you have some empathy for your fellow humans. But yeah, artiste, the Federal Reserve is neither federal nor reserve. Yeah, exactly. It's a one big scam, a one big way to control the population. Oh yeah, Stephanie, the Mayans and the Egyptians, yeah, they got a lot in common. It blew my mind when I first realized how many pyramids there are around the world, that there were even pyramids in North America. That stuff blew my mind. Yeah. And now they have that LiDAR and they're scanning through the forest and stuff, scanning right through them and seeing all kinds of cool stuff now. That's pretty cool. Boom Freaka. What up? No, I've been doing lives. How long have I been doing them, Lake? And LJ, what about 2 months now, something like that? A month, 2 months? No, longer than a month. 2 months probably. Boom. I've been doing live streams. Yeah. Yeah, there you go, Joe P. UK spent 100 billion on a train track and now it's been canceled. Money gone. Nothing to see here. Sorry, folks. You didn't get your train track, you know. Sorry. But, we're going to raise your taxes again. Yeah. Yeah, they're stealth mode. There was in no way enough material for them to burn to make all the metals they did. Yeah. Giant welder's pyramid. Yeah. There's all kind of cool conspiracy theories about the pyramids. Oh yeah, Tripwire. The Mayans, I think the Mayans have had the best calendar ever, right? I mean, we're using the Julian calendar, the one that Julius Caesar, he straightened it out. He didn't make it. I think he just straightened it out. He fixed it, so they call it Julian calendar. But the Mayans had a way better calendar than even ours today. Yeah. I like these conversations that we have during our live streams. They're awesome. I can't get enough of this kind of stuff because you get so many different uh, views and things. I learn stuff all the time. Yeah, exactly. Trip. Who makes the decision? And that is again, that's who makes that decision about the value of gold is exactly the same question as I asked earlier. Who are all these countries indebted to? Who, right? Who does the US owe $37 trillion dollars to? There's somebody, some institution that can afford to lend the US $37 trillion dollars. Okay. Now, what kind of power does an institution like that have? They can afford to lend China however many trillions and UK and Australia. They're lending all these countries, all these trillions of dollars. But I'm a conspiracy theorist if I say, that there might be a central bank who's controlling the world. That's a conspiracy theory. I'm a kook. Yeah. Well, answer me that then. And for everybody who thinks I'm a kooky conspiracy theorist, who does the United States owe $37 trillion dollars to? That's the question I have. I'm about questions. I ask questions. I do not claim to have any proof. I go by evidence, and the evidence is that the United States government themselves tell me that they are $37 trillion dollars in debt. So I just want to know who they owe that money to. That's it. That's bottom line. I'm not gonna sit here and formulate a bunch of ideas and stuff, but I believe that it's to a bank. This the same institution that all of us owe money to is banks. It just makes sense to me. I don't think that's, alien Anunnaki type conspiracy shit. People owe money to banks. So I think that the United States owes $37 trillion dollars to a bank. That's pretty much where I'm at. I don't think that's too crazy. Oh, okay. Yeah. Boom freaks. I didn't, 21 trillion dollars spent on dumbs, DUMBS, an acronym. I don't know I didn't catch that show, or only caught part of it or something, as I watched Tucker Carlson quite a bit. So, Yeah, I'm not familiar with that acronym though, but I'm definitely interested in that too. Boom. Yeah, stealth mode. Yeah, the water. And that I honestly believe now here is a conspiracy theory for you. And Vintage already told me that they're taxing their water over there. So I honestly believe that they'll be taxing our water and the air we breathe. I think that that's maybe part of the reason they're spraying shit in the air so that we have to purchase fresh air, right? And we have to pay a tax on it and shit. I that's out there. I know that's out there, but I wouldn't put it past them. Yeah, they're polluting the air, and pretty soon we'll be paying for fresh air. That's my whack job conspiracy theory for today. Yeah, Stephanie. I don't know if I'm a big thinker. I'm a thinker. But yeah, yeah. That's one thing, just like Stephanie says, throughout history, all those people that were called conspiracy theorists back in the day have come to be, now we call them, philosophists and big thinkers and stuff like that. So I'm not afraid to be a little conspiracy theory minded, but I don't nowhere near put myself in the league with those guys. Yeah, artiste. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, RT says the powers that be don't need money at the top, and that is so true. That is so true, alright? And just take it like this, just to give you an example, and it's hard to imagine, but Elon Musk is way below these people at these central banks, right? He's got 400 billion. Well, the Just America owes this central bank 37 trillion. So owns this central bank, the family or the group or whatever, they could buy Elon Musk a million times over and still have trillions left to spare. So Elon Musk at his level, he does not have to spend money. He does not worry about money. Do if he wanted a Ford truck to drive, Ford would just give him one. They would just give him one for the publicity of him driving a Ford truck. Anything, he's such a big name that he doesn't have to spend money. You know, those companies will give him stuff just to say that Elon Musk ate here, or Elon Musk wears my shit, or Elon Musk, plays my game. He gets shit for free. And if he does want something, he probably tells his guy, hey, Chuck, uh, you know, get me a couple shirts. Go down there and get me a couple shirts tomorrow. I'm tired of wearing this shit. Just what I like. Just get the shit. I don't worry about it. He doesn't mess with money on a daily basis like we do. He's above that shit. So just imagine how much higher above those people are that run the world's banks. Okay. To them, money isn't even a life thing like it is with us. It's just a play tool. It's just a tool for manipulation, like a pair of pliers to us. You know, they don't spend money. The shit they want just manifests because they told somebody they wanted it. It's that easy. Yeah, they don't have value in money like we do. The only value in money is what we give it. It's in our minds. And people think I'm crazy when I say that. There's no value in money. There isn't. There's no value in it. No true value. There's no true value in gold except we give it. The true value is in real shit like food, stuff that keeps us alive. Apples and asparagus and meat, stuff like that. Wood to build our shelters. There's true value in that kind of stuff, but all this other stuff is just made up. The value is we're told what the value is and we either accept that or not. Yeah, vintage. Okay. Yeah, it's not free, it's a tax. Yeah. If it's not free, water's free, it falls out of the sky. Yeah. It should be free. You shouldn't have to pay for water. Yeah, artiste. It's illegal here in Florida. Well, it was. I don't know. I haven't checked the law in a long time, but it was illegal to collect rainwater in Florida. Yeah, like borrow from your own company to avoid tax. Yeah, instead of paying yourself directly. And that whole thing, it being a tax is something you're forced to pay, right? You have no choice. You must have water. You must have it. So if you don't pay for it, then you will die. You don't have water. Now, okay, compare that to a tariff. All right. They tariff shit coming overseas, Chinese doohickey. They tariff that Chinese doohickey. This is why it's not a tax, because I can choose not to buy that Chinese doohickey. I don't need it. What happens? I have more money in my pocket. I'll just keep my old Chinese doohickey for one more year. That's a choice. I have a choice. Taxes, you don't have a choice, right? When they tax your food and your water and your air and all this, whatever, or they just take it out of your account, out of your paycheck, that's a tax. A tariff, on the other hand, is voluntary. I don't have to buy that cheap Chinese shit, you know? I can just not buy it. That's my choice. That's not a tax. I can buy American stuff and then the tariff isn't there. I can make a choice. Keep my money. Heaven forbid you just keep your money, save it. Don't give it to the Chinese billionaires, right? And that's why I don't have a problem so much with tariffs. Yeah, it raises the prices, but I don't have to buy it. I don't have to buy that shit. So I'm still free. I'm free not to buy that shit. So my thing is with freedom, as some of most of you long-term subscribers already know, I'm just about freedom. That's my main thing. Because without that, what do we have? If we're taxed into oblivion, taxed into poverty, taxed into subjugation, taxed into conformity, taxed, take our rights, take our liberties, take our choice, then what are we? What are we without freedom? And these people don't understand that. These people that want to, silence and censor and take away your right to speak, even if you're wrong. That is what freedom is, the right to be wrong. I can be wrong. I can be wrong about the Anunnaki if I want. That's freedom. I can say that there's Anunnaki in my, basement right now. But I have the right to say that because I have the First Amendment protecting me and protecting my freedom to do that. So yeah, I don't know. It's just it's crazy when I get to thinking about that. But that's the core reason I don't have a problem with tariffs because they don't infringe on my freedom. Anything that doesn't infringe on my freedom or harm me personally, then I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, yeah, like that. I see that coming. They're going to tell us that the air is bad, and so then they're figuring out a way to tax that shit. They figured out a way to tax everything else, right? Ah, don't worry about it, LJ. No need to apologize. That's what we're here for. I just have a hard time keeping up sometimes. I'll start talking on a subject and I'll look up and a bunch of comments have flown by. So you have to put up with me there. But yeah, I try to keep up with all of you. But it's tough sometimes. But that's cool. I like it when there's more people here saying more stuff because it makes it better. And I see a lot of times that even if I don't comment back to you. Somebody else in the comments will. So it's just a great conversation all the way around. I have a great time with this. So no apologies. Yep. Unless we get a spammer in there. When was that? Was that last Sunday or last Saturday? We had somebody just spamming all kinds of weird shit in there. And I forgot to check it. Luckily, it didn't happen again this time, but I need to check if I can put some kind of anti-spam control on the comments so those people can't do that. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I don't know. I honestly, for everyone listening, I don't try to get people to believe anything. Honestly, I just tell you what I believe, and I invite you to think for yourself. That's it. That's the main goal of this channel. Gen X thinks, not Gen X wants you to think, or Gen X convinces or anything like that. It's Gen X thinks. And I know just from the people I know in my generation, in our generation, that our generation is full of people who think for themselves, and we can share ideas in an amicable way. Not We don't have to fight and do all this weird shit. We can just, you know, it, present new information to each other, and then we get to think about it. Hey, that sounds like that makes a lot of sense, and think about it, and maybe change our opinions on some stuff, our beliefs, because very little of what we know do we actually know. It's just some shit we memorized, some shit somebody else wrote down or somebody else told us. Very little do we actually know if you think about it. From our own experience, from our own lives, most of what we know is just some shit somebody else told us. So once I realized that, it kind of started changing the way I think about everything. Yep, LJ, I got to go too, buddy. Yeah, I got to get ready for work, put another long day in, but I'll be back tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. So for another live stream. And that I think is what, 6 a.m. for vintage. Yeah, very cool. We got to keep track of all our different time zones here. And Lake, what time is that for you, Lake? That's probably what, like 10 p.m. Lake or something. It's late at night for you, isn't it, Lake? 4 p.m. like 10 p.m. or something for Lake. So he's got a, yep, okay. Yeah, he's got a Savage Lee. I don't think I've said hi to you yet. Glad to see you here. All right, Tripwire, Stealth Mode. Thanks for all the new members. That's awesome. Yeah, glad to see y'all become members. That's just great. And hopefully I'll see y'all tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon's live stream. Artiste, LJ, let me see here. Say goodbye to everyone I can. Lake, Vintage, Sherry, Stealth Mode, Stephanie, Tripwire, Boom Freaka, Joe P, Artiste. Who else we got? AC, new member AC. Gen X Gemini, Pirate Bob, all of y'all. I hope Jeff 7, of course, he was the first one to show up today. So I just want to say thank you to all of y'all who showed up. Thank you to the new members of Gen X Thinks. You can't imagine how much I appreciate it. It's just awesome. I love talking with y'all. Thanks for showing up. And I'll be back tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. All right. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.